Welcome to Reunite with Self podcast. I'm your host, Rukan. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shift in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. There is no more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and which yet no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth. And my mission is to bring you closer to that, one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rockin'. My gorgeous listener, I am so happy you're here. I am so excited for this episode. If I listened to this episode, even 3 years ago, my life would have been completely different. It's already very different now. The sooner, the better. But in my situation, I think I really had to go through all that I went through. Not that I am playing the victim or anything. I'm very grateful for all of my experience on this earth, whatever it is. I'm grateful for everything. But really, I went through a lot of challenge, as you might have realized with my episodes on narcissism in my family. And I feel, I have 2 podcasts. So this one is Reunite with Self, and it's in English. And because my first language is Turkish, I have a Turkish podcast as well. And it's linked in the show notes. If you speak both languages, make sure you listen to both, because I feel like I feel a little more comfortable maybe sharing about my family stuff in some sense. I don't know exactly how. Makes sense that my family speaks Turkish. Their first language is not English, and how many of them speak English? But I don't know. I am more courageous, I guess, in some things in Turkish. We have sort of a little bit different characters in different languages. We become, our sense of humor changes. The way we are, we have this persona for every language, I believe, sort of a little bit different. So just wanted to say that sharing some of the stuff in English is so liberating for me. I love doing this podcast a lot because of that too, because I feel like it's so different from my world where I grew up, so I can be even more courageous and open. So I just wanted to say that. So today's topic is so powerful. If I listen to someone speaking to what I'm speaking to today, my life would have been so different, because nobody shows you this stuff. Nobody talks about this stuff, narcissism in family. We just started, I'm just hearing new people talking about this, and I'm so grateful. And some of them were my inspiration to start this podcast. But really, there is no tools or like there is no resources really to truly understand what's really happening in families today globally. And it is time we begin. It is time we start creating our incredible lives. And the tools, the practices are not complicated. They are actually very simple. And if you were abused in any way with narcissistic tendencies, narcissistic abuse, behavior, whatever you want to call it, it made it very complicated for you. Like the whole thing became so complicated and you were so overwhelmed with your emotions, and there was no way that you could get confirmation or approval from any outside sources that, you know, you're not crazy, the things you're going through are not acceptable, the things that whoever, like if the parent, both parents, sibling, relatives, cousins, uncles, aunts, aunties, grandmothers, grandfathers, nephews, like whatever is left, that it's not acceptable. That stuff that makes you feel like you want to like get smaller, you want to close your heart, you want to shrink, you want to cringe, like you get super angry, super frustrated, disappointed, heartbroken, confused, all that stuff is not acceptable. And there was no one telling you this. There was no one that you could talk to and explain what happened. And so you could make it more clearer for yourself or simplified for yourself. The whole thing is always very complicated. And we're going to talk about this as well. But it's time we change this, and you can change this, and we can change this. The things we talk about here are simple things that we can do because life is simple. Love, my friend, is very simple. Anything that's complicated shows that there is no love, there is lack of love in that situation. It's a sign of lack of love. It's very different from what we were taught, right? Or what we experienced around our families. Most of us, I'm guessing. So what is the number one thing that you must do in any narcissism in family? Just thinking back to my own story, like it was a moment, like it was truly a moment in time. And when do we make a change? How long does it take to make a change? In an instant. We make a change in an instant. To get to that moment in time might take years, decades, maybe never. But when you get to that point, however long it might have taken you, or less, whatever, the time it takes for you to make a change is an instant. And it was an instant for me in my life. And when I reflect back at it, like that moment clarified everything for me. Like and what I mean is I became super clear in that moment. And that's why I made the decision and I made the change. That's something else. But now when I think back about that moment, I now realize for someone to make a change, a shift like that, it's actually a very simple process. It's not a complicated process. It's the lack of complexity, actually. It's like very different from your experience of life with these people with narcissistic tendencies. So you might have a parent who has narcissistic tendencies. You might think they have changed. They might be acting differently as you get older, but let's see. Let's see how it plays out. Always be open. I'm just saying this because sometimes we think that the person has changed, but actually their behavior is different, but it's still very, 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 very effective in your life. It's just their presence is enough. a tone of voice is enough. They don't need to say anything directly to you to make you feel less worthy. It's the way they talk about something completely different, someone else, something else, some other topic, some other subject. The way they talk about it is enough to trigger you, or not even trigger. It's not even, my concern isn't even that you get triggered or not. Like, of course, it's great to get not triggered, but the core thing that, what do I want to say here? There are so many things that are coming to my mind. I want to stay focused, but they will do something or say something that is so small that it won't even seem like a thing for you, maybe at this age. So you think they have changed. But my friend, if there is still areas in your life that you know that you are not living up to your potential, that you haven't started that, really living a fulfilled life, creating your incredible life, making the changes in your life, really like seeing big progress in your life, not feeling the home emotion for you is not frustration anymore. Like if there is any one of these things, if there is still frustration in your life, still anger, blah, 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 all these, if these are main emotions in your life, the person might be just like have very high narcissistic tendencies, but you're not even seeing it because that's the way it should be for it to be influential. Otherwise, you would get the F out. So I don't want to go too deep into that, but I'm sure you want to listen to this anyway, because if there is a narcissistic behavior person, it's always interesting to listen to all of this, but I want to be on track of our topic today. And I just wanted to throw that in because it's always useful to listen to this. But what is the number one thing you must do in any narcissism in family for you to make a change, a true change in your life, so you start creating your incredible life? First of all, pull yourself away from the situation. Don't be around that person. Like, I'm talking about a moment. I'm not talking about leaving the person. Like, I'm talking about get away from the situation. Come back to your heart and remember the love in your heart. Remember the love in your heart. And so this is the number one thing I'm going to talk about now. Like this, you set the scene, come back to your heart, get away from the situation, remember the love in your heart. And then what you must do is two things, but clarify and simplify what's happening. Clarify and simplify what's happening. Because you see, the narcissist will want to keep things very complicated. They will want to keep things in chaos or chaotic in these moments. And then you settle down and you go on with the same BS and blah, blah, blah. And that's great for them. But your nervous system is so used to you being in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and it's a lot of dysregulation, a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, anger, and sadness, and bitterness, and resentment, like so many emotions at once, and you are not in your balance, like you are not in your center. When you are off balance, it's great for the narcissist to play with you. And because you have a lot of empathy and compassion, it's always easy for you to fall back to the same BS that they have created. you feel guilty, you remember the love for them, you think it's okay to, it's okay for them to do that. It's because they love you. It's because they had a bad childhood. It's because that's all they know. Whatever your BS excuses are, and excuse my language, I am not saying anything about you, but the stuff that was taught to you, that was applauded, that was taught to you as the family, how sacred it is, but it's actually that's not what we are experiencing now. Family is supposed to be sacred and the safe place. And I don't want to say my hope. I know we will get there, but the idea for family, which is so possible if everyone has empathy and compassion for each other and everybody is friends with their shadows and looking to go deep within and work with their BS truly, honestly, without playing the victim, that would be possible. It doesn't matter. It does not require us to be perfect at all. It does not require us to be not making any mistakes. It does not require us not to break any hearts. That's not required to have a blissful, harmonious, happy, beautiful, safe family experience. But that is not the case, and that's why I'm doing this podcast. Narcissism is off the hook, right now, in the whole world. And it might be a person you run on the street, in the grocery store, in traffic, on the street, whatever, at work, your friendships, and then the circle comes closer and closer. And then it might be your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, whatever, or your ex-husband, ex-wife. So in the narcissist world, in their world, the world is about chaos. It's about a lot of struggle. Life is about struggle for them. And that's why a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them even pride themselves of being, aware of what could go wrong, that they're such perfectionists. And that's what's so wonderful about them. They know what the fucking chaos will happen. And they pride themselves of thinking of all that stuff, whatever. Excuse my language, by the way. I love to cuss. I think it's very healthy. But the narcissist will want you to stay in chaos because that's how they see the world. And your nervous system is so dysregulated since childhood. And when you're around them, when something happens, when they do something that is even so small now as you are an adult, you get dysregulated, you get confused. You're like, why would they say that? Why would they do that? Why would they feel the need to say that or do that? And that gets you all dysregulated. But in my experience, it took me a near-death experience for me to come back to myself. It took me a very, very challenging time in my life to come back to myself. God, universe had to do all these things to me, and universe was serving me. God, goddess was serving me when she was doing it to me, so that I could come back to myself, so I could see things clearly. It was a very, very difficult time for me. And I could not get out of the situation until truly, clearly, I could see what I truly want in my life, what life is truly about, what love is truly about. I don't know at what point I'm going to be talking in more detail of my situation in that time, and also my whole life story, but maybe in more intimate settings I will, most probably, for sure, because it's very inspiring to hear other people's stories. But
I just want to say it was after a near-death experience and me being in a hotel room by myself for 2 months with surgery and physical therapy, a lot of physical pain. Whew, it was a lot of challenge, but there was gold in it. I got the gold in it. And it saved my life. It saved my life. If that thing didn't happen, I would have I would have a very difficult life. And no one would know. So my near-death experience was an eye-opening for me, because I went to some place and I came back, and it really, it was a big catalyst for me. But then the challenge afterwards, like, it really took me that much. So I know, my dear listener, I know how challenging it is to see someone you love so much, and someone that you would think would love you the way you love them. It doesn't have to be the same way, but the reciprocity should be equal. And I know how challenging it is to face that someone might be doing this or that to you consciously for so many years, knowing that it would hurt you so much, knowing that it would affect your life in such an immense way. Like, basically F up your life, F up your understanding of what love is, what self-worth is, your capacity, what you can do, and everything. I know it's so challenging to face the truth that someone you love so much and had the power over you as you were a child, that you would see them as the god or the goddess, and if they did things or said things or were just the way to you, where you would doubt yourself constantly in a very hidden way. My story was very hidden, so I am very passionate about talking about hidden narcissism and hidden stuff, that how it affects your life, how influential it is, because hidden stuff is more influential, like influencing the crowds with hidden ways is more influential than saying, I rule and you do what I say. That's not going to be effective. It has to feel like I am doing this for your good. I am saying this for your good. I don't want to sound too alternative, so I'm not going to give examples of what the F is happening in the world now or has been happening the last 3 years, whatever, but it is the narcissist will want you to stay in chaos and in confusion and in that dysregulated way, so you just end up repressing your emotion or ignoring it or dismissing it or try to numb it and self-sabotage yourself in a very hidden way, so you're not even aware. It shows as if it looks from outside that you're doing all the things, being all the things, there is nothing stopping you. That's more influential than someone saying to you, you're stupid, you're not enough, you can't do that on your own. At this age, if you hear that, maybe it's not going to be that effective. By the way, you might be going through narcissism in that way too. And that works too. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just depends on your relationship with the person, what happened in the past, what happened, what your nature is, what your nature requires, what will keep you stay in that zone. And so, so coming back to our topic, what is the number one thing you must do in any narcissism in family? Like, what would I suggest for you to do? Number one thing that really makes the difference, that really makes the big difference, big change in your life for you to make the decision for that change. Like, making that decision takes one, I don't want to say second, one moment in time. And for that, pull yourself away from the situation, come back to your heart, remember the love in your heart, and then clarify and simplify. Clarify. What has this person been doing to me? What have they saying to me? In what moment? In what circumstances? What would I need in those circumstances? Was that too difficult for them to do? No. The answer will be always no. It's very simple things, but you might say, oh, it was difficult for them because they had it, whatever. They had a difficult childhood. They don't know, blah, 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 whatever. But like, leaving all of that BS behind. Why I talked about my story, by the way, I was going to say this. For me to simplify things took me almost dying. Like, I hit the wall. Like, I hit rock bottom. It was. And there's always worse, by the way, of course. But it was really like on a mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional level. It was like, what am I creating in my life? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I tolerating? It just, like, the degree just started becoming worse and worse and worse until, like, God, universe was trying to show me, Goddess was showing me like what I can tolerate, what's familiar to me. But we're not even aware of this, because I promise you the things that you remember about your childhood, and I was doing all the regression therapies. I remember things very vivid. Like, I remember my life very vividly, but then I realized this later, I don't even remember everything that has happened, because it's like the child's way of protecting himself, herself, to, like, let go of stuff and not remember and dismiss and ignore. Like, that's the only way she survive. I forgot the word now, like protection mechanism. It is necessary in that moment, but now it's not necessary. It was necessary in the moment. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing for you to survive. Children are very intelligent. That was the thing that saved you. In that time, that was the best thing that you could do. And you have to be gracious with yourself and be compassionate with yourself. Show all the love to the inner child in you. This is the moment. Now you can listen to him or her. Now you can have him on your lap if he or she wants to. Now you can listen to her. You can look into his or her eyes, and you can just be present. And you can listen to her. And when he or she is done, you can say, I'm always here. I will always be here. Whenever you want me, I'm always here for you. And give the confirmation you needed from outside to yourself now. But it took me that near-death experience and going through the deepest of the dark night of the soul that it was like life or death. It was like it was very painful, and so in a very humble perspective, like, I started looking to my life in a very simple way, because when it's life or death and when you come back, this is usually the story for people, but you start looking at life in a very simple way, and then you start seeing all the BS, like excuses you make up for other people. And if you are recovering codependent like me, you are so amazing at making excuses for other people's BS behavior. you are an expert on this. You're so good. And I was always so great at seeing people's souls. Like no matter what they were doing to me, I would just see their souls. But it's not always the right thing to do. We're living on this 3D world. And it's not just that. I started seeing life in a simple way, seeing that we are all one. And if I am letting someone do anything that is unloving to me, then it's just the exact same thing as if I am doing that to someone else or to that person. There is like no difference. Like there is zero difference. If you could see yourself, or your 3-year-old self, would you go and do that thing or say that nonsense stuff that your parent told you? The one with the narcissistic tendency. There is like no way. So why would you find excuses for it? And it doesn't mean that it does not necessarily mean that you need to cut cords with the person, cut out all the relationship. It does not require that. But there is very clear, certain, healthy boundaries. And we're going to talk about all of this on another episode, not today. Because what I want you to understand is the foundation will be necessary in this road, in this path for you. And it's always going to be, and this is going to get easier, by the way, with practice. And with that decision you make, it's going to be natural for you. Because everything's going to be clear and simple, because love is simple. Anything chaotic is where there is lack of love. Anything like love doesn't have excuses. Love is just love. It is simply love. It is present. It is simple. It does not have any excuses for random BS. It's just love, and it's open. It's expanding. So you're gonna figure out so many things about the person that you're thinking about now, like how narcissism was so like predominant, like in your relationship, how they were acting. But you have to be open, and in that moment of decision, there is a lot of clarity and simplicity. A lot of clarity and simplicity. What went down? What happened? What did they do as a pattern? What did they not give you? What was the breadcrumbs? What did you deserve? In your nature as a child, what was necessary? If they would give that to you 3 times, even only 3 times, how would your life be different? Why we're not doing it? Why we're not doing and giving you the thing that they need the most and that they take from you? The gratification they never give you, they took from you. The validation they never gave to you, they took from you. They need that the most. The things that they did to you that hurt you the most, there are the things that they are scared the most. They are scared to live it themselves the most, and they make the other experience that. These are not easy things, but we can do hard things. And when you come to the point of really making that decision of living up to your fullest potential, because that's why you came here, and that's the only way we can live our lives. That's the only way, by shining the brightest. So, the number one thing you must do in any narcissism in your family, no matter what the situation is, it does not need to be your parent. It can be any other family member, because there might be many different shapes and sizes and forms of narcissism in your family. So pull yourself away from the situation, not in their presence, and come back to your heart. Remember the love in your heart. Breathe. and clarify and simplify and stop making excuses for their behavior, because that's the stuff you would never do to them. And if you did, if you knew you were doing it, how would you be different from what they're doing? Would you be open to understanding and, being wanting to know how they're feeling about their own thing that you said something about their own life? That's the thing that they're doing to you. Saying and doing things that are about you, your life. And so you deserve the best. You deserve the love. You deserve the presence. You deserve the understanding, the compassion, the openness to be like, oh my God, like, did I hurt you? What did I do? And really wanting, and not in a panicky way, but like being open and seeing your emotions and validating it and showing that to you, that you are only human to feel that way. You're not weak. You're not weird. You're not crazy. You're not this or that. You're not different. You are just human. And we are all human. And that's such a relatable emotion. That's the feeling you get from an empathetic person. The feeling you feel is just like anyone can feel it. Like, it's so relatable, and not minimizing it, by the way, in any shape or form, because that's what they do a lot as well. But I'm sure you get the point. You deserve all of that. You deserve the best. You deserve the compassion, the understanding, the openness, the people in your life being open to the fact that they can make mistakes. All right. So I will leave you with this today. I love you so much. Please feel free to DM me on my brand's Instagram, Kevela. It's on the notes, on the show notes in the description. Kevela, Khewella. Please DM me if you have any questions, if you have any situations in your life you want me to address. I'm never gonna share your name, obviously, and it's gonna be something that so many other people are going through as well. So it's gonna be so beneficial for them too. Let us speak out. It is time. We are ready. You are ready to start creating your incredible life. I believe in you. I'm here for you. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. I will see you on the next episode. My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Kevela. That is Khewella. Kevela. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was, or something you found inspirational, or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.